Hi everyone! Welcome to this week's art lesson. Our theme is empowerment. This week we will talk about how art has empowered prehistoric artists by keeping their stories alive today. In this week's lesson, you are going to learn about some of the first art ever made. This is called prehistoric art. Paintings like this have been found in large caves all over the world. But first, let's see what Screech is up to. Welcome to Art with Screech. Today, Screech is going to be adding some texture to his artwork. He's actually using a piece of cardboard to draw on. He is stomping and smashing and crinkling his cardboard. Whoa, Screech, take it easy. Screech added a lot of texture to his cardboard, making it look like a cave wall. Wow, Screech, your art must be inspired by prehistoric cave paintings.
Welcome to Vocab with Van Gogh. Our first word is texture.
Texture is the look or feel of a surface. Can you think of any textures? This brown paper has a crumpled or rough texture. Here is another example of a type of texture. Can you guess what it is?
Wow, it feels really soft. Our second word is repetition.
Do you remember hearing the word repetition in Mr. Allwarden's lesson? Repetition is doing something over and over again. An example of repetition in art is a pattern. This picture has a lot of little hands repeating, just like this prehistoric art found in Argentina. This is called the Cave of Hands, or La Cueva de las Manos. These cave paintings were created almost 10,000 years ago. In this cave, there are almost 1,000 handprints. We don't exactly know why people of prehistoric times used repeating hands in their artwork. Hands weren't the only thing that repeated though. Sometimes you will see animals repeating across the cave walls. Although we don't know why these cave paintings were made, it is very powerful that they are still standing today and we can see a little bit of what life was like during prehistoric time, tens of thousands of years ago. Why do you think that prehistoric artists used repetition? Art has empowered these prehistoric artists and has carried on their legacy and message. There have been many cave paintings found around the world. Here you will see that many have been found in France and Spain. In addition to the repeating animals and all of the handprints found in cave art, prehistoric artists used symbols called pictographs to convey messages. Take a look at some that have been found in caves around the world. What do you think they mean?
Welcome to Frida's Fellow Artists.
During prehistoric times, artists were both male and female. Scientists know this because of the handprints found in caves. Artists during these times used many different methods. Some made paintbrushes from bones and animal hair, and some made straws from animal bones and blew pigment through them, like the picture you see on the bottom right of the man holding his hand up to the wall. Screech and I wanted to imagine what it would be like to be cave artists. So we went hiking and found some really big rocks that looked like cave walls. We wanted to find bigger rocks or a cave. And finally, we came across this really huge rock. It's called Pulpit Rock. This rock is so big, it looks like a giant cave wall. We could imagine lots of animals, handprints, and pictographs covering its side. It must have been difficult for these artists to draw on these bumpy surfaces.
Welcome to Monet's Maker Station!
This week, you will have 2 activity choices. The first is inspired by the cave handprint art, and the second is inspired by pictographs. For the first activity, you will need a piece of paper, some crayons, a pencil, and your hand to trace. You can use any color paper. I am recycling a grocery bag as my paper because it is brown, like a rock or cave. I want to give my paper a rough, bumpy texture like a cave wall. So whatever color paper you're choosing to use, the first step is to crumple it up really good. So roll it around in your hands and squeeze it with your fists, but try not to rip it. I'm having Kitty help me a little bit. Be careful not to rip the paper, Kitty. The next step is to carefully unfold your paper and smooth it out on the table with your hands. Decide which way your hand will fit best on the paper, and then place your hand down really flat. Make sure you have your sleeves rolled up if you have long sleeves, and then space out your fingers just a little bit so that you can fit the pencil in between. Carefully start drawing around the hand with the pencil, all the way until you get to the end of the paper. The next step is to outline the hand. Use a dark colored crayon. I'm choosing black for this outline step. Trace all the way around the hand over the pencil line. Go very careful. When I'm finished tracing the hand, I'm going to add a little bit of shadow around it to kind of look like those hands we saw in the cave paintings. To do this step, you're going to color around the outside of the hand, starting at the outline line, color pressing really hard, and then as you move away from the hand, color a little bit lighter. This will give a really cool shadow effect. Color around the entire hand. Make sure you go in between all of the fingers really carefully. Try to stay on the outside of the hand, not on the inside of the hand. When you are finished with this color, you can layer with more colors if you want to. Many prehistoric paintings have very natural, earthy colors, like browns, dark yellows, and some dark reds. If you choose to add color layers, you can add as many as you want. For this next activity choice, I want you to think back to the pictographs we saw earlier. A pictograph is a really simple picture or symbol that represents an idea. In this activity, we are going to use shapes to draw different kinds of objects. You will need a piece of paper and something to draw with. Here are some shapes to think about. There are going to be 5 rounds. In each round, Kitty will give us one shape and one object to draw. You can follow along with us, or you can choose your own shapes and objects to draw later. Round 1, a cat using only triangles. Round 2, a house using only rectangles. Round 3, an owl using only ovals. Round 4, an elephant using only squares. Round 5, a pizza using only rectangles. This one is inspired by Mr. Allwarden's Echo song. Check out these pictographs drawn by the specialist team. This first one is a bunny drawn out of rectangles. And this second one is a crab drawn out of only triangles. Nice work, team! Let's review some of the things we learned. Prehistoric artists used shapes and repetition. Prehistoric artists used a bumpy texture to draw on. Art can empower a story or legacy to live for tens of thousands of years. To reflect, think about these questions. What are 2 types of texture you saw in our lesson? What is the name of the big rock that Screech and I saw? Which activity will you choose to do? And this one is challenging. How can you use repetition in music? We hope you have a great week. Good luck with your prehistoric art.